Hey all, we have a special treat for you this week on this podcast. We are part of a small network of podcasts, and we're giving a view into some of those other podcasts. This week, you will hear Stigmas and Open Wounds, a podcast that delves fearlessly into the complexities of mental health, societal taboos, and the human experience. We also delve deeply into some of the ways the hosts have found a way to enjoy their lives while fighting the stigmas these conditions carry. Join us as we challenge perceptions, break down barriers, and explore the raw, unfiltered truths of the human psyche. This is Stigmas and Open Wounds.
Hey everyone, welcome back to a new Stigmas and Open Wounds. I'm Traci.
And I'm Eric.
So, we missed you last time. That's our fault.
I blame it on Traci, 100%.
I blame it on Mercury retrograde and Pisces season.
That probably did play a big part of it.
That's what I blame it on.
I mean, the last few weeks have been kind of disastrous, and I mean, I shouldn't say disastrous, but
we've had a lot.
There has been things to question. There's things to question that have happened in the past few weeks.
We've questioned life.
Yeah.
It's just, it's when one thing happens, another thing happens, and suddenly I'm like, is there an episode coming out this week? And I'm like, no, it's fine. We can wait till tomorrow. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's no more time left. There is no more time left. So yeah, we just kind of ran out of recording time and things just kind of kept happening. So I apologize if you missed our fresh voices. But now there is a fresh episode for you.
And don't worry, it's only going to happen probably
once in a great while,
every 3 years.
Yes. So. But this is the episode that was gonna come out. So today we're gonna talk about Reiki. And this is an episode that was kind of in the works for a little while, but I didn't want to come out with it until I guess you can say kind of did my own research. I wanted to actually get to my own Reiki appointment, which I finally did. And it was one of those things that I wanted to find my own Reiki person, and we finally found one when we were at a holistic fair, and it was one of those things. So we were at a holistic fair one day, and all of a sudden there was a gentleman who was giving free 15-minute Reiki sessions, and it just so happened to be somebody that Eric knew somewhat.
I mean, kind of knew.
Yeah, well, that's why I said somewhat.
I was like, when I saw this booth there, I'm like, I think that's the guy from the mastermind minds.
Yeah, it was like an entrepreneur type thing.
So then I asked him, and he's like, oh yeah. So
and he had some pretty good energy, and so couple of us got some free Reiki for 15 minutes, and that was kind of my first getting my feet wet. And then after that, I actually did schedule an appointment with him. So I can kind of in this episode give you a little bit of background on Reiki, and then tell you about my experience, and then Eric can actually tell you about his 15-minute experience as well. But then we'll tell you a little bit about Reiki, some of the benefits, etc. And then I can tell you about my experience and all that stuff. And yeah, I'm kind of excited about this, because again, it's another form of healing. And yeah, I do plan on going back. It had positive. I will say the 15 minutes, I do think it was a little bit better for me, but each time is going to be different, I think. So
you're saying that the 15-minute one was better than the
I think I was regular? A little bit more blocked the second time, and I think that's probably why. So maybe if I go back. So the second
time wasn't the 15-minute one, though. It was.
Right. The second time was an hour.
Okay.
So I think it was probably I just had more blockages, and it was probably he had a little bit more to get through. So let's start with a little bit about what Reiki is.
This is interesting to me because I'm going to be honest with you. I've been through a 15-minute Reiki session.
You still don't?
I'm not really sure. I mean, I know that it has a big part to do with balancing the chakras.
Yeah, it's basically energy work. So So chakras, we've talked a little bit about this. Chakras are energy, essentially.
They're center points, right? Like they're balance points in your energy field or something. So if they get out of whack, things work funny. Is kind of the very simplistic way of
it's kind of like if you see pictures, you see how they kind of line up like in a straight line. You know, if they're moved about, you know, you're probably moved about, and it's energy. I don't remember if I read this or if it was when I watched a video about it, but it was basically like you ever have somebody enter a room and you know that they're there before you even hear them say anything, before you even hear them. It's their energy. That's why you know. And I believe I mentioned this after we talked about the chakras episode and how I said when I was sleeping next to my cat the one time, I realized that's the perfect way to describe it, is there's times that I can just feel him when he's not sleeping directly touching me, but sometimes I can just feel that energy, that love that he's giving off to me. I can just feel that intense energy that he is giving to me. And that is just the energy, the chakra that they are giving off. So sometimes you can just feel the energy that somebody is giving off, and you just know that somebody is in the room with you, and you don't hear them, you don't know. You just feel that they are in that room. That's the energy. That's what is being worked with Reiki, with the energy work. So with this, back in the day, there was a technique, and I don't remember, I don't know if I actually have it in my notes, but there was a technique that was being done where you could manipulate energy, and the person that was working on it would actually have to kind of take some of their energy to manipulate that energy. But then this gentleman, and I was looking it up and I didn't get it. I feel like his name is like Mikao Usai. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I was like trying to like listen on my phone before so you might want to like look up if you really care how to pronounce his name. So he was like, okay, there's got to be a way to do this without me compromising my energy to do this. So he went out, and I believe it was like 20 plus days that he went out kind of on his own and, you know, kind of did like meditation and fasted and stuff like that. And then finally, all of a sudden, he's like sitting there starving, and all of a sudden it came to him like how to do this. So he formed this Reiki method where now you can do this without compromising your energy. And now what is generally practiced, what a lot of us see these days, is called like the Usai method, or again, however you pronounce his last name. And there's 4 factions of this, or 4 levels, 1, 2, advanced, and master. And I believe master is where if I was a master, I could then teach you how to become a Reiki healer. So it's not necessarily that you're an advanced Reiki healer. It's just that you have the ability to teach somebody else how to be a Reiki So like
healer.
I'm like an awesome Reiki person, and then I can give you that Reiki ability. So like if I was probably advanced, I could be an awesome Reiki healer, but I could not probably give you that healing ability as well. So and if you are the first degree attunement, you can give somebody the ability to practice Reiki on themselves and others with touch. Second degree gives somebody the ability to practice it mentally from a distance without direct touch. So that's when you see people kind of hovering their hands but not touching. Third degree, also called master, gives somebody the ability to give other people attunement rituals. So
what does that mean? Give somebody an attunement ritual?
And that basically means I can teach you to be this. So, and that's where you see a lot of people now suddenly they're like, oh yeah, I do sound healing. I'm also a Reiki master. I'm also this. I also do. So a lot of places, like when we go into crystal shops, a lot of times these days, all of a sudden you see like, oh, by the way, we do Reiki here. It seems to be popping up these days. And that's where I was starting to really get curious about this Reiki thing, especially seeing as how with learning about the chakras and all that, I thought this just seems to be a lot more, I don't want to say wholesome, but a different way to heal my body than the physical of, wow, let's manipulate all of these muscles and see if, wow, I'm pushing my muscles around and now I've got to let them sit and heal after. Because there were times I'd go to the chiropractor and then I'm like, okay, well, this is great. It pushed it back. And now it's got to like heal after that because it hurts after being manipulated. And I don't know if anybody else has had that. I'm sure other people have had that where it's like it hurts in a good way and a bad way at the same time. So I wanted to try this Reiki because it seems like a much more gentle, soft way of just being like, hey, we've got some good energy up here. You know, let's picture this light and let's figure out where you have a lot of good energy. And let's find out, you have a block. Why do you have a block? Are you not, you know, say you have a block in your throat chakra. Well, are you not speaking up enough? Are you, so why are you blocked here? Can we maybe, you know, manipulate? Can we maybe move stuff? And that's essentially what it is. So, and maybe I should have done some research before I went to, you know, to him, but I was just kind of like, I want to just go in open-minded. And I think that's the biggest thing when you go to these things. Don't go closed-minded because obviously I think you're going to get a lot more when you go open-minded.
And it might even hurt you to do too much research because
I think so.
Like with everything along these lines. Well, and I mean, for all intents and purposes, everything you do in life, there's going to be proponents and naysayers.
Yeah.
And when you just start jumping in and reading the proponents and naysayers to something,
yes,
it kind of levels you in the middle.
Right. I mean, and
being in the middle for something is not a good thing because there's a good chance that it could go either way. It might work or it might not work.
Right. Like I want to know essentially what I'm getting into, but I also don't want to know so much where, you know, he's telling me all this stuff and I'm like, yeah, I know. Just like, let's get into it and stuff. I want to know what it's about, but I also just want to let the experience take me over, kind of.
Yeah, and some naysayers out there would probably say, well, the reason why you have to go in with a positive mindset is because it doesn't work, so you have to like will it to believe that it's working,
like
or
the
something,
placebo
and it's
effect
like,
kind of thing. But that's not really it. I think you just need to close your mind, open your mind, I guess.
And my response to that would be guess what? If you go in with a closed mind into anything,
nothing's gonna work.
I could will myself to not be able to open that door,
right?
If I believed enough that I can't open that door.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you would just pull it the wrong way, or so. I mean, there would be some reason
your brain would find a way to prevent you from doing it if you believed enough you couldn't do it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and it's really interesting. I mean, thinking about it now, I want to go back and really pick our friend's brain who did this with us, because when we did the 15-minute kind of trial, I guess you could say, we did it with a friend who is, I don't want to say more of a naysayer, but he kind of is in a sense.
It's not something he would normally do at all.
Yeah, but the weird thing is that the gentleman who did this, when I went for my appointment, he was absolutely sure that Jason was going to schedule an appointment right away. I mean, there was something in him that was sure. He saw something in Jason.
I almost am curious because Jason's a lot like me, but he's a lot like me where he's very curious. So I wonder if he was just asking tons and tons of questions to the guy, which led him to believe that
he also saw something. He said he saw some kind of a alleyway or a brick street or wall that led him to think that it was something like European or something. And he's like, I've never been there. And I'm like... and
like the person having the Reiki done?
He saw that on Jason, and Jason's like, I've never been there. So for me, I'm like, I wonder if that was a past life thing that he saw.
Interesting.
So, because Jason's like, you're thinking of the wrong person. And I'm like, okay, I wonder if he's getting a flash of something that Jason doesn't even know. That
Well, and it could just be something that that he
blocked off.
This person experienced in life and just doesn't remember it. Because remember, like, you don't really remember.
There's so much that we block that we don't remember, or we remember the last memory of this. I mean, we're like, for all intents and purposes, when we are remembering a memory, we are remembering the last time we remembered that memory. So he might not be remembering what that this Reiki person is remembering,
right. But he might not even remember that it ever happened, or he might have changed the memory to a point where he remembers it differently than it really actually happened, because believe it or not, we do that all the time.
Absolutely. And then all of a sudden, because I mean, the memories that have been coming to me lately are just crazy. And I'm like, oh, wow, I completely forgot about this. And so what could be, what he could have seen could be completely valid. Mm-hmm. But our friend could just be like, okay, whatever. So I'm very curious, and I almost want to pick his brain and be like, so what was this experience for you? Even though it was only 15 minutes, but I didn't go too far because I know he's not as far into it as kind of we are. I didn't go, so what chakras were open and closed for you? Because I didn't even think he'd remember or know.
He wouldn't know that.
But I know when we did it, so when we did the 15 minutes, he goes, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to check your chakras beforehand and afterhand and see like, okay, so what's open and what's closed, etc. And then I'm going to go through and just kind of do a quick balancing or whatever. And it was really great. So what I did when he went through, I told him that I had a hip that was feeling really locked, and all of a sudden he went through and my hip just really lightened up. And what he said for me is all of a sudden he felt like a rush of energy. And I'll bet you that's when I felt like my hip loosen up. And I'll bet you I got really excited, because I know I got excited. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to guess. And that's what got me like, yeah, I got to go back to this guy, see what he can do for me. Mm-hmm. And it didn't loosen up when I went back to the actual appointment. But I think I'm kind of working through some stuff. And that's why I haven't made a second appointment yet, because I don't want to go to him when I'm still kind of trying to loosen up some, like I want to do some meditations before I go. I don't want to be like, so I've still got this, second through third chakra that's clogged, work on me,
And let's be honest, I mean, and I know that you know this, but the reality of it is that this kind of stuff, it's not like a snap your finger fixed type.
Absolutely
it's not magic.
Not.
It's not magic. It's something that you got to do over a prolonged period of time.
I mean,
it does have profound effects on you.
Absolutely. It's like I've got a tea that they said it's a headache tea, and it says drink it continually so that it can kind of build up in your system. And I feel like that's kind of the thing. And I felt very relaxed while he was doing it to me. So it's a definite thing that I highly, highly recommend, because I could feel the benefits. I could feel, especially when he got up to my head and he's putting his hands up on the side of my head. I could feel stuff going on. I can't even describe when I say that I could feel stuff going on. I could feel that there's stuff aligning. It's really hard to describe when I say that there's stuff aligning. I could feel that there's definitely energy moving along. Mm-hmm. So, but like when we were doing the 15-minute one, he's saying like, yeah, so you're aligned and everything. You're, keep doing what you're doing. And then when I went for the hour one, he's like, yeah, so basically your heart and down are unaligned. And I was like, not surprised by that, which is kind of funny when I went in there and kind of like, yeah, I could feel that.
So why do you think your heart? So like everything, how many chakras are below your heart? I guess
I would think a lot solar of plexus, sacral, and root.
So what do you think caused everything to get out of line?
I'm working through was gonna say my witch wound. There's some witchy stuff. There's like I've got some transitional stuff that I think it might partially be because I'm trying to get off of my one kind of medication and go all herbal. I think there's some transitional stuff that I'm working on. I think that I'm working through. So I think maybe and that might be kind of like once I'm working past that transitional stuff, I'll go back to him and be like, what am I doing now?
Be interesting to see once you make this transition from the, and I know this is off the topic of the podcast, but when you make that transition from using herbal medicine, getting rid of something that's quote,
over the counter, not
whatever you want to call it, doctor medicine, and converting it to an herbal medicine, it'll be interesting to see what the results of that are,
right,
and stuff like that, if that works.
Yeah, I think because there are a lot, and the other cool thing is he has a book there too that is by Louise Hay, I believe it is, and I actually did decide to pick it up because it was a fairly inexpensive book, and he kind of looked at it because especially again that day that my hip was bothering me, and we looked up like, okay, so if this is bothering you, Louise says that are you having troubles moving forward, for instance, I know for sure that's your hip, and this is a mantra you can say to yourself, or this is something that you can do, or if this is hurting you, this is why, this is what it is in your head or your brain, or this is why, this is the psychological reason that your body is hurting. And it's not because obviously if you stubbed your toe, you stubbed your toe. It's not, something in your brain that why your toe hurts. However, there's reasons why all of a sudden you're like, oh, duh, my back hurts because I'm carrying people, or, something like that. Mm-hmm. So it's really, really interesting. And I cannot remember, I don't have the book here, but if you look up Louise Hay, there's a fairly small book that it basically talks about symptoms and what you can do. I mean, it's a really interesting book as to why. So we looked up some of this stuff and we're like, oh, well, this makes sense why this is hurting on me. Duh, I'm going through.
Interesting.
So,
and we have this book?
We do, because
okay.
I was showing you this and I was like, Eric, this is why you have a urinary tract infection right now. And, so it is a really, really interesting thing. And when you kind of start to look at life from that point of view, and, I really like to look at all of us as just different energy and different stuff like that.
Well, that's a good philosophy, because guess what?
It's what we are.
That's what we are.
Right. So. Right. And what's and kind of going with that is because of that, I really wanted to make sure. So I do really quite get along with this gentleman that I did do the Reiki with. But if I didn't vibe with him, I would have been like, I'm going to look for somebody else. Mm-hmm. So I think doing that 15 minutes was a really good idea. And I do quite recommend that for anybody else. And I'm not saying that you have to do that. I'm not saying that, hey, you have to go to a holistic fair or anything, but I actually there's a lot of holistic fairs around here, like more than I would have realized were. And
I'm kind of upset because we missed one.
I know. And it sounds like there were some really great things at that one. I'm like looking up.
The reason why we talked about this is because a friend of ours, well, she does. We do a monthly sound healing with her, mm-hmm. and she told us about this fair, and I wonder if like a lot of the vendors that she talked about that were like, oh, that sounds cool. I wonder if they were at other fairs we went to.
I want to get the drawing that she got,
and it just like. We walked past that booth without even realizing what they were doing, and that's curious on how you can see the different perceptions from mm-hmm. different people go to the same thing. And, but I would have liked to seen it because maybe there was a whole bunch of vendors there that just weren't there. But at the other ones,
I would definitely recommend if you're a big energy person like I am, you're like, I don't know who to go to, go check out one of these holistic fairs. There's a lot of different people who give out free Reiki, or you can, maybe purchase a trial Reiki from them. Or if you don't want to go that route, if somebody that you're curious about isn't doing that, email them, call them, be like, hey, I'm curious about you. I've got questions, XYZ. What am I?
And I'm sure that Traci would be more than happy to refer you to her Reiki person. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, he's a really nice guy. And
stigmasandopenwounds@gmail.com if you are just like, give me somebody to start with.
Yeah, and he does a discount for veterans as well.
Yes.
So that's pretty rad. So yeah, I mean, I think because especially being that this is energy work, I do think that you want to vibe with that person. And no matter what I do, I want to vibe with the person, whether it's, massage, but I think that this one is especially something that you want to vibe with that person since they are doing especially energy work with you. Mm-hmm. But these ones are, you can generally find them around. But yeah, if you're like curious about somebody and they're not at one of these holistic type fairs, just message them. I'm quite certain that they'd be open to
they would be open to getting a new client.
Oh yeah.
They're not opposed to that.
Well,
that's kind of why they're there.
Well, and if they're into something like this, I'm sure that they're going to be an open kind of person, be like, oh yeah, sure, I'll answer your questions, because I'm going to guess that they have a kind of open energy as well.
I always get the feeling from people, like the people that get into these types of fields, it's not about like,
they're a helper kind of person as well.
Obviously they have to make money because our society deems that we have to make money.
I know, doesn't that suck, right?
But
they also have the helper mentality.
They're not doing it because they're trying to be rich. Right. They're doing it because they want to spread this ability out there.
The money is the side effect as well.
Yeah, like, they want more. They want more people to realize the power of this. More than likely, this, whatever they're teaching, whatever they're doing, change their life, and they want to change it.
Exactly.
They want to be able to change other people's lives the way that this thing changed their lives, or whatever.
Right.
So they're just wholeheartedly good people to deal with.
Right. It is so true. So did you have anything significant when you got, again, it was only the 15 minutes that you did so far.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really feel like anything significant can be said from it because it was 15 minutes. And like I said, I have a firm belief that like, if I were to look at you and say that I was divinely changed after that 15-minute session, it would be completely reasonable for somebody to look at me and say you are lying, because I am probably lying, right? Because I don't think that is possible to do with this type of thing.
No.
This thing, I would even say that
especially
you're not seeing the effects of it.
Oh
yet
no, I'm not
either, because you haven't been doing it long enough. You have to do this stuff for months before.
Yep.
And like, we were watching a video right before we recorded this podcast, and one of the things that kind of caught my mind is that when you're doing stuff like this, it's not like you do it and your life is forever changed. It that does happen.
Eventually it can be, but it's a slow progression.
It's a slow process, and you don't even realize you're changing, and then one day you look back at who you used to be and who you are now, and you realize, holy crapola, I'm completely different.
You're like, wow, was I? Oh wow, I'm different. Huh?
Yeah, and there's certain effects that I find. There's certain things that will happen in your life, and you'll get through them. I mean, the things I'm thinking of are generally negative, but you'll get through them, and you'll realize
you react differently,
like
right?
how different you react,
and
how different. Like, you saw that situation and all that stuff. It's like an amazing thing. So I can't really say anything like, oh, it was this profound experience for me.
Right.
But like right now, I'm trying not to stack, because there's a ton of this type of stuff, and I want to just stack my life full of it, because I think my personal belief on a lot of this stuff is that it's all trying to do the same thing.
Absolutely.
At the core, it's all doing the same thing. So you only need a certain amount of it.
Yep.
For you, and I'm not ready to bring another one of those things in there into
Right,
my life
right.
at this point in time. And actually, I shouldn't say that. It's more or less that I have one other thing, because before I ever consider Reiki, I want to do group meditations.
Yes.
That's like a big thing for me, and I just have to get off my lazy butt and go do them. But it's not that I would discount Reiki. It's just like right now it's not on my agenda of things to add in, because
Right.
I'm experimenting with these other things.
Right. And see, for me, I'm kind of like, well, this might either take the place or move into a slot of one of my massages. Like, oh, this might go in for a sometimes massage or something like that.
Right.
So.
And that's great. That's great. For me right now, I don't find the place in it. And
right. Whereas my body is
treacherous. I think if I started doing it right now, it would become more of a nuisance to have to go to that appointment.
Right.
And
believe me,
that is obviously not the right
See,
mentality to get into anything with.
I know this because there's days where I'm like, oh, I have to go to a massage today. And you're like, oh boy, Tracy.
You poor soul. I mean, you have to get a massage.
And I'm like, no. You see, what's awful is the massage will be great. I just don't want to like leave the house, Eric. So I get how that works. It's the nuisance of having that appointment. The act is great. It's just the nuisance of appointments. I absolutely
and that's a big part of it, and stuff like that. So it's like I've got enough going on in my life that when there will be a time, like, I am not discounting Reiki whatsoever. It's just I got to hit the right point in my life where Reiki fits into what I'm trying to do.
Right. The one thing that I do like about Reiki too is that it's, for me, it seems easier than a massage in that, it's not like, oh, hey, I have to strip down. And then, it's just like, I go there, I'm in, I'm out. And I mean, and you can do it as long as a massage is like, I do it an hour, which is, well, actually my massages are an hour and a half. So it is shorter but you can do it a half hour. So generally Reiki is half hour or an hour, or, I mean, and you can make it as long or as short. And then what they do is they can either touch or not touch. A lot of times they'll kind of hover over you. Mm-hmm. And then that's a lot of times what it is they'll kind of like hover, and sometimes I don't know generally how close, or if they touch, or a lot of times they'll kind of just barely touch. Mm-hmm. And then they'll just kind of, that is just how so what I have kind of said in the past is, if you hold your hands fairly close to each other, like maybe inch or two apart, and then you can kind of feel the heat generating. Mm-hmm. And then if you kind of pull them apart, push them closer, you can kind of manipulate that. And that's your energy. And with that is essentially your, I don't want to say that's, they manipulate that energy with the Reiki. So
they're using that energy to kind of adjust your energy.
And I can't, I would have to like look much deeper into it. I mean, I actually have some Reiki work stuff in my on my computer. I'm like pushing like my computer's in front of me. I'm like, in the other room I've got my Reiki stuff. No, it's in front of me. I've got Reiki stuff where I can actually study if I want to. So I actually have Reiki stuff so that I can actually, if I want to learn how to do it, I actually can. But it's actually just moving that energy about. So like I don't know the details of it. I want to learn eventually. That is a goal of mine someday. Mm-hmm. So that you can just manipulate that energy. And somehow the people who do this know, like, okay, I've got to move this energy. I've got to move. I don't know the specific details of that. But with that, they can help you with your pain, your sleep, your all sorts of things that all basically anybody else can help you with, your massage people can help you with. I mean, I have a list here, all of your stuff, man. It's all, so yeah, I have reduced stress and anxiety, pain relief, emotional, and we got enhanced clarity. I mean, all your mindfulness stuff, all that stuff that you want. So
it all just points back to one place.
It all points back. So if you wanna zen yourself out, go get yourself some Reiki.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, but I really do like how I feel after I get a Reiki session. I do.
And that's good.
I mean,
but
I mean, also,
but then you also have to look at, is it any better than when you finish Tai Chi? Is it any better than when you finish meditation?
And that is, and the other thing I do want to mention too is if you do a session, say you do like a 15-minute or however many in a public space, like we mentioned, say a holistic fair, etc. When we got ours, obviously, it's a little bit different than if you actually get one from, pay for it, because we're like, you might want to bring some noise canceling headphones or something. It gets a lot better when you actually go to their office and it's quiet and
right. Yeah,
because
absolutely. That was a huge problem, was there was a lot of background noise. And I like to think that I'm somewhat mindful.
Right, because I'm somewhat mindful and I can filter some stuff out, but there's times that it's just like, dude, there's people here.
But yeah, like when I could pick out Jason's voice while I'm getting my Reiki, that's that's kind of an impedance on the power of it. So.
Right. I mean, I can. It kind of goes back to when we do the ghost headphones and stuff. And I'm like, I can zone some stuff out, but I can't. When you guys are talking loud, and I can't always zone some stuff out. So it's the same thing goes. So always keep all these things in mind when you're setting your appointment, when you're doing all of these things. So whatever you're looking for, Reiki may or may not be the thing for you, but honestly,
it's definitely
be open-minded.
I
think I really do.
Try them all until you find the ones that make you be the mindful person you want to be. I mean, and it comes in 150 different forms, and that's what I love about all this is that.
Yeah, me too. I think it's great because there's so many different things. Like I've tried Reiki, I've tried acupuncture, and you can mix and match all the flavors together and the different people who do it, my goodness. So yeah. There's so many. And if you don't like one person, maybe the next person does it better. You're like, this was close, but not quite. Try somebody else. Because, again, I was talking to somebody recently about how she's going to like a talk therapist. And I'm like, and she's like, I don't know about a guy. Try a girl. It's people make a difference, man. Seriously.
Absolutely.
So when I'm going along my journey with this, if I have anything else that kind of comes up, if I'm like, you guys, I've been doing this Reiki thing for a while, and oh my goodness.
I always like to think like you need to have a 6-month follow-up because 6 months is
I was
where you
almost
start
kind of thinking, am I doing this too soon? But I'm like, no, I kind of want to just, give them a little bit of feet wet Reiki, let them know what I think of it so far.
Yeah, because I believe that with meditation, I can't say, but I would say at least 6 months. It might even been longer than that before I just had the day where I realized holy crap.
Meditation was a journey. The different steps I took with meditation, that was a real different kind of journey. So yeah, I think anything like that, I was going to say anything like this, but just gosh, anything. Just write down your journey. Just it's such a
right, and just keep in mind that it's subtle. But at some point in time, it's going to pop you in the face and you're going to realize holy crap, am I different? So just always keep that in mind because, when I meditated, I never even really thought about it. It was just, I actually kind of just enjoyed it because it was soothing. It was just a relaxing thing to do in the morning. But yeah, man, like 6 months later, you're like, whoa.
Even sometimes just having on something that has the meditative kind of music behind it that's not always necessarily meditation.
Yeah, like your
that's great.
ambiance videos,
Yes.
those are great for, I mean, that's like, I mean, it's probably not as powerful as like a direct meditation.
Right. But it's
in
just like, I can't meditate now, but I'm halfway meditating.
Right, exactly. And halfway meditating is still good meditating.
Yep. It's better than it's better than not meditating.
Exactly. So
yeah, I feel like I'm halfway better than I used to be then. so yeah, I guess you kind of look at it, and I think you kind of think about when you're with people for a while and you're like, wow, that was really loud, because they don't do the meditative things that I do maybe, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm gonna put on some meditation so that I can quiet it down in here. So you kind of think about the journey that you've gone on, and so yeah, maybe we'll come back in a couple months and I'll tell you about my Reiki journey. Hopefully,
yeah, it'll be cool. It's gonna be it's kind of tough now to if you add something to judge it though, because you don't know where it's coming from. It could be coming from Reiki. It could be coming from,
Oh yeah,
coming from meditation. It could be coming from Tai Chi. It could be coming from
absolutely
the countless other things that we have our little brains soaked into. So
yeah.
So,
and man, in 6 months it's going to be warmish again. Actually, it'll probably be cooling down again. But
don't say that, man. I am just like so ready for the summer to come so I can start doing fun things again.
I know.
Not that the winter hasn't been fun, but I've been
get those bikes out again.
Yes. So,
well, with that, do you have anything else that you want to add to this before my voice gives out?
No, I'm good, man. Wrap her up.
All right. Well, I think we'll end this one here, and we'll hopefully be back in 2 weeks with the new episode for you guys.
And Tracy didn't want to forget to mention that if you do have any questions, comments, or anything, send us an email.
I know, I'm horrible at this.
stigmasandopenwounds@gmail.com.
And before I forget, guess what, you guys? We have another live show.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
April 10th, you guys.
April 10th. So if you're in the Appleton area, I think it's at McFleischman's again.
At McFleischman's again, yeah.
Yeah, so April 10th, probably, I don't know. Do you know the time? I'm going to guess 7 o'clock.
I feel like it's at 6 or 7. Yeah, we'll have to. You know what? There's going to be an ad. I'm going to make an ad.
Are you? Okay.
I'll make an ad.
So we'll get the details out there. But yeah, there is a live show coming up April 10th. McFleischman's upstairs. So we are the first one we kind of did like just an intro to our show, but this one we're going to do an actual topic.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the day that I said, Eric, what are we doing here?
Yeah, why are we here?
Why are we here?
So yeah, it should be a cool episode.
Should be fun.
Hopefully, hopefully it hits with somebody in the room, because it is kind of one of those out of the box type
as
things.
As David said, existential.
Cool.
So yeah. We'll look forward to talking with you guys later and seeing some of you guys at the live show.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Come up and say hi.
Yes. Bye, guys.
Peace.